I will start with second chapter, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. How reproduction takes place in the plant. Here flower is involved in the sexual reproduction in plants. Flower is involved in sexual reproduction in plant. This flower produced only in angiospermic plants. These flowers are absent in gymnosperm, bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperms, but they present only in angiosperms. Due to presence of floragen hormone, that shoot system is converted into flower. Shoot system is converted into flower. Flower is a highly modified shoot system. Flower is here, it's a highly modified shoot system. That is here shoot system is converted into flower. Here this flower is this is a stem of the plant. This is a stem of the plant. Here this flower having floral orals like leaves are arranged on the stem of the plant body. This is stem of the plant body. On this stem here leaves are present at the nodal region. Here in case of flower, this is a flower. It is a highly modified shoot system. It's a highly modified shoot system. These are the floral orals: calyx, corolla, androecium and the gynoecium. These four are the floral orals. These four are the floral orals. Like these orals are arranged on the thalamus or inside the thalamus. Like leaves are arranged on the stem of the plant body. Here this thalamus is highly condensed. On this thalamus here the presence of these floral orals are there. These floral orals are there. Here this is LS of flower. This is longitudinal section of the flower. Longitudinal section of the flower. Listen here. This is longitudinal section of the flower. Here this is calyx, corolla, androecium and the gynoecium. Listen here. Here calyx, corolla, androecium and the gynoecium. Here this is first oral, this is second oral and this one is the third oral. This gynoecium is the fourth oral of the flower. Here calyx, unit of calyx is called sepal. Unit of the calyx is called sepal. This is entire flower. LS, longitudinal section of the flower. Unit of calyx is called sepal. This is a sepal. ಹೌದಾ? ಅಷ್ಟು ಔಟರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಓರಲ್ಗೆ ಏನಂತಾರೆ, ಕೆಲಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಒಂದೊಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತಾರೆ, ಸೆಪಲ್ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಹೌದಾ, ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ಇನ್ ರೋಸ್ ಫ್ಲವರ್. ಹೌದಾ, ರೋಸ್ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತೀರಿ. ಔಟರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಓರಲ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಕಲರ್ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್. ದಟ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಕಲರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ 5 ಸೆಪಲ್ಸ್. ಹೌದಾ, 5 ಸೆಪಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತವೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಕೆಲಿಕ್ಸ್. Corolla, what are the bright colors or petals are there? All those petals together are called corolla. Only one unit of the corolla is called petal. ಅವೇನು ಬ್ರೈಟ್ ರೆಡ್ ಕಲರ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಲರ್ ರೋಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ, ಅವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೆಟಲ್ಸಿಗೆ ಏನಂತಾರೆ, ಕರೋಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಒಂದೊಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತಾರೆ, ಒಂದು ಯೂನಿಟ್ಗೆ ಏನಂತಾರೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ petal. The third oral is androecium. This is androecium. Here this is androecium is the third oral of the flower. Unit of androecium is called stamen. ಇದಕ್ಕೇನಂತಾರೆ, ಇವಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟೆಮ್. ಇವಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡಿ androecium ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಒಂದೊಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತಾರೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ stamen. Then fourth oral is gynoecium. This is gynoecium. Unit of gynoecium is called pistil or carpel. Pistil or carpel, ovary, style and the stigma. Ovary, style and the stigma. Here this is female reproductive structure. ಹೌದಾ, ಹಿಯರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಎಂಟೈರ್, ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ LS of flower, that is longitudinal section of the flower. They may ask for 2 mark. ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, 2 ಮಾರ್ಕಿಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಡ್ರಾ ನೀಟ್ ಲೇಬಲ್ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಆಫ್ LS of flower. ಡ್ರಾ ನೀಟ್ ಲೇಬಲ್ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ LS of flower ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಓವರಿ, ಸೆಪಲ್, ಹಿಯರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಫಿಲಾಮೆಂಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಪೆಟಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಥರ್ and this is stigma and this one is the style. These are the different parts of the longitudinal section of the flower. Longitudinal section of the flower. Listen here, this is sepal. Here this is filament. Here this one is petal, this is anther, this is stigma, and this one is the style. These are the different parts of the longitudinal section of the flower. Exam ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು ಹೌದಾ. ಡ್ರಾ ನೀಟ್ ಲೇಬಲ್ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಆಫ್ LS ಫ್ಲವರ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಡ್ರಾ ದಿಸ್ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್. ಈ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮನ್ನು ತೆಗಿಬೇಕು, ನೀಟಾಗಿ ತೆಗೆದು ಲೇಬಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಓವರಿ, ಸೆಪಲ್, ಪೆಟಲ್, ಫಿಲಾಮೆಂಟ್, then here anther, stigma, style. These are the different parts of the longitudinal section of the flower. ಇವೇನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ longitudinal section of the flower. Then here these are the orals. Here orals of the flower. Then here pre-fertilization. Listen here. Pre-fertilization, structure and events. Pre-fertilization, structure and events. Note, pre-fertilization, what are the events takes place before the fertilization is called pre-fertilization. Listen here, what are the events takes place before the fertilization is called pre-fertilization. Fertilization ಆಗೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚಿತೆ ಏನಾದರೂ events ಆಗ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ, that is called pre-fertilization. Means it develop maturation. Growth and the maturation takes place in the pre-fertilization. ಹೌದಾ, pre-fertilization events ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, growth and the maturation takes place. Here structure and events, the events of sexual reproduction before the fertilization events is called pre-fertilization. Listen here. Here the events of sexual reproduction before to the fertilization events is called pre-fertilization. ಅದಕ್ಕೇನಂತಾರೆ, pre-fertilization ಅಂತಾರೆ. Here the stamen, microsporangium and pollen grains. Stamen, microsporangium and the pollen grains. Here all these development and the maturation takes place in the pre-fertilization events. The first one is stamen. Here this is stamen. Listen here. This is stamen. Here this is stamen. This stamen. Here this is stamen. This is stamen. Here filament. Here this is anther, connective, and this one is the filament. Anther, connective and the filament. These are the three parts of the stamen. Here this is transverse section of the stamen. This is transverse section of the anther. When you are going to take the transverse section of this anther, you will get this type of the picture. Here it consists of anther, connective and the filament. Stamen consists of three parts, that is anther, connective and the filament. It consists of three parts. A long and a slender stalk called filament. A long and the slender stalk called is filament, and the terminal fertile structure is known as anther. Listen here. A long slender part is called filament, and this is fertile structure is called anther. This is anther. Angiospermic anther is bilobed and dithecous. Here angiospermic anther is bilobed and dithecous. This is angiospermic anther. It is bilobed. This is one lobe and this is another lobe. Bilobed condition. Each lobe it is having dithecous. This is one theca, this is another theca, this is one theca and this is another theca. That is bilobed and the dithecous condition. That is at each lobe it is having two theca. This is one lobe, this is another lobe. Each lobe having two theca. This is one theca and this is another theca. At each lobe it is having two theca. The bilobed structure of the anther is tetrasporangiate. This is bilobed anther. Is tetrasporangiate. This is bilobed structure of anther is tetrasporangiate. This is tetrasporangiate. 4 sporangia are there. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 4 sporangia are there. That is called tetrasporangia. Sporangiate condition. Sporangia develops. This is sporangia. Sporangia develops into pollen sac filled with pollen grains. This sporangia develops into pollen sac. Later on, each sporangia develop into pollen sac. This pollen sac is filled with pollen grains. They are filled with the pollen grains. The number, length and form of stamen varies from species to species. Listen here. Number, length and form of stamen varies from species to species. How the number, length and form of stamen is varies from one species to the another species. That is species to another species. Listen here. Here this is a stamen. This is a stamen. It is having here this long slender filament. This is anther and this one is the connective. This is here stalk of the stamen and this one is the fertile portion. Here only the formation of the pollen grain takes place. Here the mature anther, it is having bilobed condition. This is one lobe, this is another lobe. This is one lobe, this is another lobe. Bilobed condition and dithecous. It is having two theca. Entire this here anther, it is having 4 sporangia. It is having 4 sporangia are there. Later on, this is sporangia develops into pollen sac. This pollen sac is filled with the pollen grains. They are filled with pollen grains. This is about the stamen. This is about the stamen. Here, the next one is structure of